So tired of being tired. Until it happens to you, part of my Black motherhood experience. Hey there, Richster fam. Last week, a 17-year-old boy named Antoine Rose was shot and killed by a freshly sworn-in officer. Though he may not be my son, just thinking about his life is another reminder how everything in the world at any given time affects us all, even when it doesn't affect us personally. I've been wanting to write this post for a while, before Antoine's death, but wasn't sure that I had the emotional energy needed to navigate my feelings and express them articulately. I'm still not sure that I do, so please bear with me. Gender reveals and guessing games. During my first pregnancy, people kept asking me if I wanted a boy or a girl. And to be honest, I had never considered wanting one more than the other. I just wanted a healthy baby. But as the months passed and my due date approached, I would hear more about the craziness happening in the world, like Trump potentially becoming president. I couldn't help but feel that maybe it would be nice to have a girl. Don't get me wrong, hate and racism here in America have no bounds, especially when it comes to gender. But even with that in mind, I couldn't help but think that maybe if my child was a girl, if there was a moment where someone felt threatened by her blackness, there would be a pause where they may consider her less threatening because she's a woman. I know, it's ridiculous. But these were real thoughts. Then Arya was born. She's a girl, super sweet, and has personality for days. Everyone who meets her loves her. So for 2 years, I took a breath figuring that all I can do is love her and raise her to love herself. Black skin, thick curly hair, mixed cultural background, Jamaican and Nigerian, and all. When I found out that I was pregnant a second time, we decided again that we didn't want to know the gender. This time around, when people started to ask the "what do you want?" question, I didn't give it much thought because, well, I'm the parent of a toddler. I barely had time to pee or shower alone during the day, let alone worry about the things I can't control, like my baby's gender. Then, surprise! Our handsome, sweet-faced boy, Jace, was born. We packed up and moved to Chatham, New Jersey 2 months after. In times like these, I shared a little bit about our new condo in an older post. Not to sound snooty or anything, but the area where we currently live is really nice. Like, so nice that when we've mentioned the town name to people who are familiar with Jersey, some have made remarks like, "Wow, Chatham? That's a really expensive area." That said, you can imagine how many people looking like us are walking around town. The answer is not many, less than 1% to be exact. We knew this going into the purchase of our new home, but we didn't allow it to faze us. The area is totally worth the investment, and the school systems are ranked among some of the highest in the country, so the move was a no-brainer. What we didn't bet on was just how much the lack of diversity and color in our new community would affect us and how we operate on a daily basis. Don't get me wrong, no one has done or said anything threatening towards us, but in the 2 months since moving, the following thoughts have crossed my mind a couple of times, if not once. We need to say hi to every and any person we see, even if in the moment we don't feel like it. We need to get heavily involved in the community so they know our faces. We should attend the neighborhood watch meeting so that they know we live here. We should change our licenses ASAP so if anyone stops us, we have proof that we live here. Man, I want to go on a run, but it's really dark outside. I can't go on a run because it may make me look suspicious. Nick, please don't go on a run because it's dark outside. We need to attend all of the HOA meetings. What can we do to get the kids around here involved so that people recognize our kids as they're growing? At the playground, will Arya make any friends or will the kids ignore us or her? Do people think I'm running or taking a walk around the neighborhood to scout the place? Are they wondering where I came from and why I'm here? When Jace and Arya get older, will the neighbors who know them call the cops? When Jace and Arya are in high school, will it be safe for them to hang out late in the neighborhood without trouble? At some point, we need to sit down and have the talk with both of our children. When Jace gets older, if he's wearing a hoodie and goes out on a run around the neighborhood, could he end up like Trayvon Martin? You get the idea. Some of you may be reading this list and thinking, "What you talking about, Willis?" Others of you know exactly what I'm talking about. This is dialogue that I had never had to internalize prior to Jace being born. considering all of those questions in an effort to make other people feel comfortable with us in the place where we live. Yes, our neighborhood is super safe, but it could be said that it's safer for some more than others, especially when suspicious activity and calls to the cops by the neighborhood watch can be onset by going on a jog or taking our family out for an afternoon walk. A couple years ago, I did an episode of my street show, The Underground, based around Black men and their experiences with law enforcement. You can watch it online at Black and Sexy TV on YouTube. Listening to their experiences alone would warrant me asking myself the questions listed above, especially now that I'm a mom with a son of my own. I'm sure that some of you may think that I'm being paranoid. That could be the case, but it also has to be understood that this is my truth and my experience. Not only that, but this is a reality. Perhaps not for myself, but for many other mothers of Black children in this country. Trump is our president. Racism exists. People are being separated from their young children. This isn't fiction, the slave era, or the late 1800s. This is present-day America. In a 1985 civil case, Tennessee versus Garner, the Supreme Court ruled that under their Fourth Amendment right, law enforcement officers have the right to use deadly force, for example, shooting to kill, against a potential suspect. This was only to be done if he or she has probable cause to believe that the suspect possesses a significant threat of death or serious physical injury to the officer or others. This law is based on feelings. By the time the facts of a situation are laid straight, it's almost always too late. A parent has lost a child has lost a parent, and no matter how you slice it, a life has been taken, innocent or not. What if my child runs because he feels threatened in a situation? Is he just supposed to stand there and wait while a gun is pulled to his face like Mike Brown? Does he not have the right to protect himself from a potentially trigger-happy cop? What happens if the officer is an inherent racist or has been raised to fear Black men just because they're Black? And to take it one step further, now that ordinary citizens who aren't even a part of law enforcement, like George Zimmerman, are literally getting away with murder, where's the justice? What is there to justify minorities and people of color continuing to have faith in the system? A system that has been failing people like them for centuries. Given our current administration, it seems like things are only getting worse. History is literally starting to repeat itself. We gave Jace his name because, though we opted to spell it differently, it means a healing in Greek, and the Lord is my salvation in Hebrew. The names reflected what we saw in his face and personality, even at 2 years old: peace, calm, and love. It terrifies me that at some point in his life, he could be crossing the street and anyone could look at our handsomely, smiley-faced boy and see him as nothing more than a threatening Black man. And that could be it. That could be mine. I was 24 when the news of what happened to Trayvon Martin gained national attention. 26 when Eric Garner was suffocated to death and Mike Brown was killed while holding his hands up and saying, "Don't shoot." I was on the verge of turning 27 when Freddie Gray was killed while in police custody and Walter Scott was shot in the back while running away from officers. And I'm sure there are many others not covered by the national news in between. As I heard these stories, as much as it angered me in the moment, it always turned into a fleeting anger, an anger that came with the news of each brutal act towards another man or person of color, but slowly ebbed away like a receding tide with the change of each news cycle, at least until the next one happened. It's not that I don't or I didn't care. It's rough hearing about these things when you consider that your people are being targeted. Constantly thinking about it can drive a person mad. I kept thinking, that could be my brother, Brian, Nick, my husband, or God forbid, my father. How would the media portray them? Would the first thing being mentioned be the fact that they're Black? Would they dig back into their history and try to find something making them to blame? If they couldn't find anything, would they then try to paint a vague story of an idea to justify any violence towards my Black men, simply because their presence is seen as a threat? Would they bother trying to show them as the men that they are, the things that they do, the things that they say, their impact on the lives of the people around them? Or would the media simply reduce them to just being a Black man, a threat? I started to develop paranoia. So in an effort to stay positive and find some kind of peace for myself, I started disconnecting myself. But now, as a mom to a boy who will someday become a black man, this is a fear that I'll never be able to disconnect myself from. Final thoughts. In these uncertain times, all we can do is try to do better. We can pray, share our experiences, encourage open dialogue interculturally, and reach out to government officials in our areas to make sure that we're being heard. By doing this, we can gain an idea of what others around us are going through and how we can come into every and any interaction with a full cup of empathy. Oh, how different life would be if everyone came with the perspective of, what if it were me? Anyways, those are my thoughts, as well as I can explain them right now. Just to be clear, I don't think all cops are angry, racist killers, and I don't think that anything terrible will happen to us in our new, beautiful home. We're covered in the blood of Jesus, and I maintain a prayer of protection over our family. But I do think it's worth mentioning that these are real thoughts that I've had on account of becoming a mother to a black boy born in America. If you're still with me, thank you for taking the time to take in my thoughts. I'm probably borderline rambling at this point. But now I'd love to hear some of your thoughts. Have you or anyone you know personally ever feared for your child because of discrimination in race? Was there a specific incident or life-changing moment, like moving to a new neighborhood, that charged this fear? How did you handle it? I look forward to your sharing. Until the next time, stay safe out there. Live rich and happy dream chasing. XXE. An excerpt from my blog, Live Rich Mommy, from June 2018.